Section 2. Fanged Wyverns. Before we begin, we must understand the basics of what a fanged wyvern is. Fanged wyverns, not to be confused with fanged beasts, are easily identified by their wide quadrupedal stance, relatively long, scaly bodies, and highly developed limbs. As of now, there are a total of 13 known species under the fanged wyvern classification, most of which are relegated to the lower ends of the food chain. But regardless of their placement, these monsters can still be very dangerous threats to people due to being so low in their ecosystem. To start off, the first fanged wyvern we will cover is the Jagras. Jagras are one of the most common fanged wyverns to encounter in the wild, identified by their slim build, light yellow scales, blue underbelly, streaked patterns, and their distinct spines that extend from their backs. Jagras are relatively minor threats to humans, preferably hunting smaller prey in densely forested areas, and being easily intimidated by larger monsters or sudden bright lights. They are commonly seen hunting in packs ranging between 4 to 6 members, and standing at about 1.3 meters tall, with a length of 4.3 meters. They may occasionally see a human as prey should they have the numbers to surround them. The oldest member of the pack is known as a great Jagras, distinct from their pack with their greater size, heavier build, and their thick mane that protects their neck from attacks. While great Jagras are the dominant males of the pack, they are relatively solitary, often being found alone when hunting. A great Jagras's most well-known feature is its jaw, which is incredibly flexible, capable of dislocating much like a snake's in order to swallow prey whole, allowing it to make use of its stretchable stomach that can hold prey 2/3 its own size. And since great Jagras have a length of 11 meters on average, the appetite of a great Jagras consists of anything that can fit within its jaws, thus, it will showcase predation towards humans if the opportunity is presented. Distinct signs of Jagras territory include the following: large dugout dens, small claw marks on trees, regurgitated corpses or meat, and large drag marks. Lastly, in order to avoid accidents, ensure to follow the listed directions should you encounter a Jagras.
General precautions to take. Travel in groups of a minimum of 4 when in areas known to have Jagras populations, as Jagras will often be discouraged from attacking if they do not greatly outnumber their prey. Jagras typically live in dense foliage areas, and you should avoid standing under dense trees when in their territory. It is important to never assume that they are alone, since they have a preference for hunting in packs no matter their prey size. Never feed a Jagras. Doing so may result in a permanent shift in their territory, or even more frequent visitors to your area. Keep pets inside at night and secure all garbage and food. Motion-activated lights and/or electric fencing are also key deterrents for Jagras encounters. If you encounter a Jagras, your top priority should be to seek shelter as soon as possible, preferably within tight, sturdy structures. Jagras will not give chase for extended periods of time, and will give up quickly if they cannot relocate their prey. Do not attempt to climb up a tree to use as shelter, as Jagras are much better climbers than you. If you cannot place any obstacles between you and the Jagras, try to create sudden bright lights or loud noises whilst appearing larger to intimidate smaller Jagras. You can also attempt to escape into a large open area, since Jagras are notoriously afraid of being out in the open, and will give up the hunt quickly when forced to be exposed. If you encounter a great Jagras and cannot find shelter immediately, drop onto the floor and curl into the fetal position, as it may trick a great Jagras into thinking that you are either too small to consume, or that you are deceased. It is important to note that this does not typically work on its subordinates.
The next fanged wyvern we will cover is the Tobi-Kadachi. Tobi-Kadachis are agile creatures, with an average height of 3.2 meters, and a length of 13 meters. They are unique for their slender build, white fur coats, pale blue scales, as well as a bushy tail covered in rows of spikes. They are known for their ability to gather electricity much like the more well-known fanged wyvern, ZInogre. But unlike a ZInogre, these fanged wyverns get their electricity by creating a static charge. They make use of this charge by stunning both predators and prey. Tobi-Kadachi are also excellent climbers thanks to their hooked claws and powerful limbs. and due to their preference for high dense foliage. They also possess a thin membrane under their forelimbs that can expand when needed, allowing them to glide from tree to tree. Despite these adaptations, Tobi-Kadachi have terrible vision and hearing, thus, they rely on other, more enhanced senses to aid them in hunting prey. These traits include infrared vision and electroreceptors. Both of these traits allow Tobi-Kadachi to be excellent ambush predators. But not to worry. Tobi-Kadachi are shy creatures, normally avoiding people, mainly feeding on smaller animals like neopterans, birds, and other small creatures. This does not mean that they will not willingly attack intruders, however, as they will make great use of their electrical properties in tandem with their long tails, of which hold an assortment of feather-like scales that can be fired at predators with precise accuracy. This form of attack is typically telegraphed by the rapid shaking of the tail to loosen these scales. And although this behavior is usually defensive, over generations Tobi-Kadachi have become one of many known species to have been more aggressive as they move west. Distinct signs of Tobi-Kadachi territory include the following: large, deep claw marks on trees, patches of white fur, and misfired feather-like scales. To avoid potential accidents, follow the listed directions for a Tobi-Kadachi encounter.
General precautions to take. Upon entering known Tobi-Kadachi territory, it is important to minimize the use of any heat-emitting or electrical devices to decrease the chances of getting a Tobi-Kadachi's attention. Avoid standing under dense trees, as Tobi-Kadachi are notorious for ambushing both predators and prey from tree cover. Remain on ground level when traversing Tobi-Kadachi territory, as it is uncommon to find a Tobi-Kadachi living on ground level. Keep pets secure and close at all times. If you find yourself within the nest of a Tobi-Kadachi, it is important that you leave the area as soon as possible, as they will defend their nests with surprising aggression. It is important to remember that Tobi-Kadachi are timid creatures, and will normally attempt to avoid human contact entirely if there is no clear resource to be gained. If you encounter a Tobi-Kadachi, you should attempt to appear larger whilst backing away slowly. Note that appearing larger is not to intimidate the animal, rather, it is to appear too large to be potential prey. Avoid making any quick movements that may startle it. If the Tobi-Kadachi continues to follow you, note that this behavior is most typically out of curiosity. So it is imperative to not attempt to intimidate it, as doing so may present yourself as a threat. You may make use of any heat-emitting devices to distract the Tobi-Kadachi. Do not attempt to feed, pet, or ride a Tobi-Kadachi for any reason, no matter how friendly they may appear to be.
The next fanged wyvern we will cover is the Girros. Girros are one of the more interesting species of fanged wyverns, for it was originally believed that this species was uniquely evolved to survive in an area known as the Rotten Vale. Recent events, however, have revealed that species such as Girros do possess the ability to survive in other environments. Thus, Girros have been deemed an invasive species by the Guild. Girros are easily identified by their low, wide stance, dark scales, large fangs, notable gills, and yellow stripes that cross down their necks. They are also similar in size to Jagras. When hunting, packs can range from 4 to 6 members, similar to its close relative, the Jagras. However, unlike Jagras, the dominant male, the Great Girros, will actively lead its pack while on the prowl. And due to its increased size, reaching a length of 10 meters, it will often use its size to aid in foraging, rarely being seen without its subordinates. As a species that evolved to live within an air-polluted environment, they have developed unique gills that aid in their survival even beyond their natural habitat. While they are of great use for filtering out the effluvium of the Rotten Vale, these gills also serve as a Girros' primary way of communication with their pack. The vocalizations produced from these gills can be heard from long distances, and they use these songs to exchange information, such as warnings for others, keeping track of members, or locating food. Thus, you are far more likely to hear a pack of Girros before you see them. Girros naturally have extraordinary night vision, being able to hunt in the nearly complete darkness of the cave systems they originate from. This adaptation in turn allows them to be amongst the more successful hunters at night. The fangs of a Girros contain a neurotoxic venom. This venom is strong enough to paralyze other creatures over 3 times its own weight, but despite possessing such powerful venom, great Girros are normally cautious monsters, frequently retreating the moment it feels outmatched, as they are known to favor being scavengers over being active hunters. But unfortunately, as this species continues to be discovered in areas far west, their conflict with other species has increased over time as they interact, resulting in many unprecedented reports of Girros being much more aggressive towards other monsters. With some exceptions. While it is unknown why these populations have appeared across the continent, it is believed that the reason Girros outside of their natural habitat are far more aggressive is due to the significantly lower amounts of available food that Girros are normally used to. This more limited supply of resources not only affects their aggression, but it has also caused Girros to become more active predators, with reported prey including monsters as large as Yian-Kutku. Distinct signs of Girros territory include the following: leftover carcasses, dried venom, claw marks on walls, and large burrows. To avoid accidents, please follow the directions in case you encounter a Girros.
General precautions to take. Instructions previously mentioned for Jagras apply for Girros as well. Try to avoid night contact entirely, as Girros have become most active during this time. If you must travel at night, ensure that you do so with others to discourage an attack, with up to 4 members in your party. If you have received an alert that Girros are in your area, or if you live within known Girros territory, it is suggested that you carry any form of headgear with you at all times. It is advised that people keep pets inside a fenced area or in the house for a few days after a Girros sighting in the area, as well as secure all garbage and food outside. Motion-activated lights and/or electric fencing are incredibly efficient deterrents against Girros packs, and if used on the Great Girros, may discourage a pack from approaching the area entirely. If you encounter a Girros, protect your eyes, nose, and mouth during the encounter, as to reduce the chances of a fatal attack from any paralyzing spit. Note that unlike Jagras, you should not rely on the use of lights to de-escalate an encounter. Rather, it's best to seek shelter as soon as possible whilst intimidating the Girros. If a pack of Girros continue to pursue you, do not attempt to outrun them, simply continue to intimidate the smaller Girros whilst slowly backing away.
No! Get the f*** away! Get the f*** away! Holy s***! Go away! Go away! Please go away! Holy f***! Go! 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 No! No! Go away!
Making use of heat-emitting tools, such as fire, can greatly intimidate a Girros pack, and may end an encounter entirely if used strategically. It is emphasized that you do not attempt to play dead, as these are scavengers by nature.
The next fanged wyvern we will cover is the Odogaron. Odogaron are incredibly distinct predators, easily identified by their long, reddish bodies, bone-like scales, highly developed claws, and their large, lipless jaws. With an average length of 13.8 meters, Odogaron are another example of a species that has been found outside of their natural habitats. Although, unlike their close relative, the ebony Odogaron, there have only been 2 known cases of an Odogaron being found outside of their known territories as of the creation of this guide. But regardless, we must be prepared in the event that this species is discovered to thrive as well in other areas. The most infamous feature of an Odogaron are its exceptionally developed claws, with each limb possessing a total of 10 digits. The extra 6 claws are usually folded in, allowing the Odogaron to run at great speeds, but these claws can unfold during confrontations, and the slashes from these claws can cause intense bleeding, often leading to an Odogaron's target to bleed out within 5 minutes. These claws also allow an Odogaron to climb the walls of the caves they live in, which in turn allows them to explore their neighboring ecosystem, the coral highlands. In contrast to their distant cousins, the Girros, Odogaron have relatively bad eyesight, and so are far more dependent on their sense of smell to locate food. This, added to their great agility, allows them to be efficient scavengers and hunters, greatly surpassing rivaling predators in both locating and securing food. Due to their extreme aggression, they will always attack any life encountered without hesitation nor self-preservation. This temperament works both in their favor and is a detriment, as it often leads Odogaron specimens to excessive conflict, especially between. And their rivaling scavengers, Girros. And with Odogaron being extremely susceptible to the neurotoxic venom produced by Girros, as well as their greater numbers, Girros prove to be great foes in confrontations outside of the Veil. The distinct signs of an Odogaron include the following: slashed carcasses, deep slashes in animals or terrain, excessive blood markings or trails. In the potential instance you happen to encounter an Odogaron, it is imperative that you enact the same instructions provided for official guild expedition teams.
Standard precautions. Ensure to keep your belongings clean at all times, and keep any food and drinks that you carry sealed airtight. Carry equipment such as odor-emitting devices and first aid kits on hand before entering their territory. Once in the Rotten Vale, it is important to avoid the lower levels of the area entirely, as doing so greatly lowers the chances of an encounter. Minimize the time you spend in open areas, as not doing so makes an Odogaron ambush significantly easier. Make use of devices such as dumb pods, odor sprays, or deodorant throughout the encounter, as these devices will help disorientate or distract the animal, making your escape easier. If you notice that you are being hunted by an Odogaron before it has ambushed you, remain calm and seek shelter immediately. It is also important to check your equipment in case you are leaving a scent trail. If you are injured by an Odogaron, seek medical aid immediately, and your top priority should be to limit blood loss as quickly as possible.
The final Fanged Wyvern we will cover is the ZINogre. As the most popular species of Fanged Wyvern, many people are aware that ZINogres are iconic for their blue and yellow scales, heavy build, large coat of white fur, as well as the many spikes that cover their bodies. ZINogres are amongst the largest species of Fanged Wyverns, with a length of 15.4 meters, and a height of 5.2 meters. This species is also famous for their unique symbiosis with the thunder bug, which serve as the species' primary source of electrical power. The many porous spikes of a ZINogre serve as homes for the thunder bugs, as each spike contains various holes that allow the thunder bugs to nest within them. This ensures that the Fulgur bugs have a home, whilst also ensuring that the ZINogre has the electrical power it needs. The electricity generated by these bugs is collected by the large coat of the ZINogre, which helps it store the energy until needed. Upon observation, many will note the incredible proportions of a ZINogre's upper body. Being such a heavily built species aids them in climbing the rough terrain of their mountainous homes, with their enhanced strength also serving them well in conflicts with other monsters, as well as allowing them to be much more agile for a creature of their size, capable of jumping great distances in order to better traverse the steep mountain sides. Although ZINogres carry such excessive power, and are among the more aggressive species of Fanged Wyverns, ZINogres are not frequently a problem for humanity, as they are a relatively isolated mountain-dwelling species, only ever becoming a problem when provoked into doing so by outside forces. Thus, they have not been a direct threat for many years since humanity's initial colonization, only having become a major problem centuries ago when they were under influence of an elder. As you can see, Fanged Wyverns are a diverse and adaptive monster classification, with many taking advantage of their unique strengths in order to thrive. While there are many more species of Fanged Wyverns to discuss, these are the few examples of the types of species that have been reported to be in conflict with humanity as of the creation of this guide, as many more species are still just beginning to make their migration west towards civilization. The next type of monsters we will discuss are bird wyverns. Please insert the next.